Well, I'm knocking on the door, nobody coming. The lights off upstairs. He opened the door. The first thing I asked, who is he? She's like, no, he just here for the kids. He babysitting the kids. He was cleaning up my house.
How close to that timeline did you sleep with your ex?
It was around the same time.
Really?
But, Your Honor, it was protected, but the protection did break.
Are you serious?
What do you know about this?
Mr. Hill, you need to be ashamed of yourself. You, are you blind, Chris? Your other children do not look like you.
Tell me why ESPN was playing in her room with messed up sheets, Your Honor. She don't know. She don't watch basketball. She never watched basketball. Can you even name an NBA player besides LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
You need to have them on paternity court back in front of this judge, because he looks like you, they don't. I know what you are doing to my grandchild. It's not about you, it's about my grandchild.
Exactly.
Are you crazy?
If she would have let him stop.
Are you crazy?
Okay, buckle up because this case is starting off wild already. The case of Williams versus Scales kicks off with Elisa Williams, explaining that 5 years ago, Bernard Scales, the guy she's been calling dad for her whole life, suddenly dropped a truth bomb. Her mom cheated on him, and she might not even be his daughter. Now, Elisa and her sister Tonga are here to prove Bernard wrong.
Ms. Williams, 5 years ago, the defendant, who you believed was your father, revealed a shocking family secret, that your mother cheated. And you are not his daughter. You and your sister are in court to prove him wrong.
You think things are crazy already? Just wait. Bernard tells the court about this time in 1983, when he took Elisa's mom to one of his away games, and in the middle of the night, wakes up to find her gone. He's suspicious right away, thinking, what is going on? Because she was gone for at least an hour or two. But wait until you hear Elisa's reaction to this tale.
1983, we had an away game in Pensacola, and I took Miss Williams with me. We checked into a hotel. I went to bed early because I worked that day, and it was a Friday. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, and Miss Williams is no longer in the room. I can't say exactly how long, but I know it was at least an hour or two.
You believed at that moment that something was going on.
For sure.
Can you imagine your dad telling you something like this out of nowhere? Elisa talks about how much it hurt to learn at 27 years old that her dad might not actually be her dad. She says it hit her like a truck at a time when she was just trying to figure out life, and it was super hard to deal with. But hold tight, Bernard's about to try to explain why he waited so long to drop this bomb.
I was 27 at the time. When I spoke with my mom, she had talked to him about the fact that he was questioning paternity of me. He told me that there were some events that he didn't really feel the need to discuss with me at the time, that it was a discussion that she wasn't supposed to share with me. I spoke with my mom about it later, and she gave me more details, what actually had occurred.
Okay, get this. Bernard's explanation for keeping this a secret is next level. Bernard says he didn't tell Elisa earlier because he wanted to protect her from ever questioning who her dad was. He thought it was better for her not to know, but now that she's older and it's important for health reasons, felt like he had to come clean. You won't believe how Elisa reacts to this reasoning. It's about to get heated.
The reason I didn't say anything is because I wanted to give this child a gift, was not having to come to earth and question who her father was.
Well, that wasn't fair for me to have to question that at 27 years old.
I'm your parent, I'm not your friend. I wanted to tell you at 27 because it's important for medical reasons that I'd let you know there's a question with your paternity.
Now things are really getting spicy. Elisa confronts Bernard, asking why, if he had doubts, he even signed her birth certificate. Bernard fires back saying, hold up, I never signed it. And suddenly things get way more awkward. And just when you think it can't get crazier, Elisa's mom enters the courtroom, and you know that's going to shake things up even more.
Why would you sign my birth certificate if you felt like you were not my biological father?
I've never signed your birth certificate, Elisa.
She's presented to the court her birth certificate. You're listed as father.
I can be listed as father, but I never signed it.
At that point, did you have a question of her paternity, meaning I could be this child's father, but I might not?
Everything in me feels like I'm his daughter.
If you thought the drama was already at its peak, just wait for this. Elisa and Tonga's mom walks in and immediately calls Bernard a liar. She admits that, yes, she had an affair with one of his teammates, but it wasn't until after Tonga was born, not Elisa. Her confession just sets the stage for more chaos, and Bernard's response is gonna blow your mind.
Do you believe Mr. Scales has any reason to doubt that Elisa is his biological daughter?
It's no reason. If he was gonna doubt a child, he should doubt Tanja. I had the affair. with the person in question. When I met
I
the
rest my
person
case, Your Honor.
in question, I didn't even have any kids from him.
You did have an affair.
I didn't have relations.
Just when you think you've heard it all, Bernard drops another surprise on everyone. He admits that back in 1983, when Elisa's mom was possibly cheating, he wasn't exactly innocent either. He had been messing around too. So not only were there doubts about Elisa's paternity, but Bernard was also living his own soap opera. And now the DNA results for Tonga are finally in, so get ready for the truth bomb.
The point is, the event that occurred in 1983, did it happen? Who were you with that night?
Like I said, the time in question, I don't know what happened in 83 because I was doing my own thing in 83. The affair probably started maybe a couple of weeks after. It lasts a very short time.
All right, here's where it gets good, y'all.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Scales, you are her father.
Wow, this whole thing kicked off with some serious drama. Ms. Clary steps up to tell the court that she needs a paternity test to prove that Mr. Asinato is her son Gage's dad. Gage has all these medical problems, and she says Mr. Asinato owes her $15,000 in child support. But wait, Mr. Asinato isn't having it and brought some bombshell evidence to say he's not the dad. Oh, you're not gonna believe what comes next.
Miss Clary, you are petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove to the defendant that he is the father of your son Gage. Say, Mr. Asinato owes you $15,000 in child support, and you demand he pays you what he owes. Now, Mr. Asinato, you say there's no reason to pay any money for a child that you know is not yours.
Okay, this is where things start getting kind of wild. Mr. Asinato admits he signed Gage's birth certificate, but he says Ms. Clary tricked him into it, making him think he was the only possible dad. He even says now that their relationship was all over the place, and he doesn't want to pay $15,000 for a kid he swears isn't his. Trust me, this story gets messier from here, so get ready.
No way that I owe $15,000 on a child that's not mine.
He signed the birth certificate.
She's basically roped me into signing a birth certificate for a child that she told me that was mine, has taken me to court for child support. I've paid almost $15,000 in child support.
But you said you signed the birth certificate.
I did sign the birth certificate. She made me believe that the child was mine.
And now it's about to get really interesting. Ms. Clary throws out a curveball, saying Gage has thalassemia, a genetic blood disorder, and guess what? It usually comes from people with Mediterranean descent, which lines up with Mr. Asinato being Italian. The courtroom starts buzzing because this might mean something big, but just when you think it makes sense, things are about to flip again.
My son has thalassemia, which is a medical condition that comes from Italian. It's it's a genetic blood disorder, and it comes from people of the Mediterranean.
You brought evidence to explain that.
And this is what I do.
Thalassemia.
Whenever we're fighting, all of a sudden my son's not his. When we're getting along, he loves his son. That's his son. It's when we're not getting along or the child support. That's the whole issue is child support.
Get ready for some unexpected feelings here. Despite all the drama, Mr. Asinato admits he's super close to Gage and even calls him my little man, which is pretty sweet. Then he gets worried, thinking about if Gage ever needed something like an organ or blood, and if he's not the real dad, what would happen? But don't worry, because the surprises aren't done yet, and it's about to get even crazier.
Oh, I love him. He's my little man.
Then why are we
Do
here?
anything for him. I'm here because if that child gets sick and he needs something, organ or blood or whatever, I'm not his biological
You are
father.
his biological father.
biological
Your
father
own
needs
mother,
to
when he
stand
was
up. He
first
needs to
born,
know
said
who
he
his
looked just
biological
like you.
father is.
Then whenever he was a
And
couple
if
weeks
something
old,
happens to him, he needs something, we need to know where to go get that.
he tells me constantly, he's not my son.
Okay, here comes the moment we've all been waiting for, and it's totally jaw-dropping. The DNA results are finally read, and guess what?
When it comes to 4-year-old Gage Asinato, Mr. Asinato, you are not his father.
I did not sleep with anyone else. I slept with somebody 2 months prior.
Ms. Valentine kicks things off by saying Mr. Jordan is the dad of her 3.5-month-old son, Michael Jordan. But here's where things get spicy. He claims Mr. Jordan only denied being the father after she started dating other guys. Mr. Jordan isn't having it though, and he's got a whole different story, saying he found a text from another dude that made him think the baby isn't his.
Ms. Valentine, you are here to prove your 3.5-month-old son, Michael Jordan, is the defendant's biological child. You claim Mr. Jordan did not deny your son until you moved on and began dating other men.
Ms. Valentine goes on to talk about how she likes her men, but not just any kind of guy. She likes her men with a dash of ugly. Yep, you heard that right. She explains that Mr. Jordan fit the bill perfectly, handsome with just a sprinkle of that rough around the edges look she's into. The judge and audience crack up at this new phrase, and honestly, so will you.
So, you know, I like my man, I like him with a dash of ugly and stuff, and it's like, he fit the description, because he had a beautiful, but he had a little dash of ugly. that I like.
Wait, you like your men with a dash of ugly?
Yes. It's only a dash. He's still a very handsome man, and he has a very beautiful smile, but he still has a dash of ugly. He has a dash of ugly.
Okay.
He's very handsome.
Turns out, this so-called one-night stand between Ms. Valentine and Mr. Jordan wasn't so one-night-ish after all. They ended up hanging out more and more, and soon enough, protection went out the window, which always brings trouble. Am I right? They start arguing about how things went down, with Ms. Valentine saying one thing and Mr. Jordan swearing on another.
We had sex a lot more. We started hanging out some. He came over one night, and he was eating my then we did have unprotected sex that same night.
She lying. She lying for a fact. That is not true, Your Honor. You really gonna lie like that?
Oh, you want to say that
You
I'm
really
lying?
gonna lie like that?
You want to say that I'm lying?
Never had
Just
that ever
let it go.
happen.
It happened
You
on
wish you
several
did.
occasions.
That's what happened. You wish you did.
It happened on several occasions. It happened on several
In the court!
Mr. Jordan tells this wild story about showing up at Ms. Valentine's house one night and finding another man there. To make things even weirder, ESPN is playing in her room, and the bed looks, well, not exactly freshly made. Mr. Jordan's not buying the idea that this random guy was just there to babysit the kids. The back and forth between them is so intense, it feels like we're watching an episode of a soap opera.
Well, I'm knocking on the door, nobody coming. The lights off upstairs. He opened the door. The first thing I asked, who is he? She's like, no, he just here for the kids. He babysitting the kids. He was cleaning up my house. Tell me why ESPN was playing in her room with messed up sheets, Your Honor. She don't watch basketball. She never watched basketball. Can you even name an NBA player besides LeBron James?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
So Mr. Jordan's got this whole theory about a guy called Pizza King. Apparently, he found texts from a man Ms. Valentine was chatting with, and she saved him in her phone as Pizza King. Sounds funny, right? But Mr. Jordan thinks it's shady business, and the accusations fly. Ms. Valentine tries to brush it off like it's no big deal, but you can tell the tension is real.
Who is Pizza King?
And I didn't talk to him except for the beginning, before I met you, before we even started really talking like that. And why are you bringing his social media up? Because that's his social media. You don't even know his name.
That's the name you gave him.
What do you mean? That was not social media. That wasn't even text messages.
No, that was.
Who is Pizza King?
I don't know. I never found out what Pizza King
I don't even
was.
know. I never met him
She like
in
at the
person.
restaurant texting me.
Finally, the judge reveals the results of the DNA test.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
This was already wild right from the start. Miss Gates tells the court that her son, on his deathbed, told her he wasn't the biological father of Miss Rembold's kids. She's here to prove it with a DNA test to defend his honor. The drama between these two women is intense, and it's just getting started. Things are about to get even more complicated, so get ready.
Ms. Gates, you claim that the day before your son's tragic death, he told you what you have always believed. He was not the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old daughter, Alexis, and 16-month-old son, Nicholas. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to defend his honor.
Miss Rembold just casually drops that their relationship was a mess, and it's kind of shocking how chill she is about it. She admits that Mr. Gates had doubts about Alexis being his daughter, and would sometimes tell her to find Alexis's real dad when they fought. That's gotta be awkward, right? But wait, she's got more jaw-dropping stories coming up that you won't believe.
Yes, there was some doubt, Mr. Gates, with Alexis. If we would argue, he would say, go find your daughter's father. Nicholas had found out I was pregnant. He told me he would not be able to live with knowing I was pregnant with another man's baby. And then right before Mr. Gates had passed away, Mr. Gates had told me that he felt in his heart that Nicholas was his child.
It's not what he told me. The complete opposite the day before he passed away.
Okay, now this is where things get super awkward. Miss Rembold reveals that she slept with her ex during a breakup, but guess what? The condom broke. Yeah, that's a plot twist no one saw coming. And now there's even more doubt about Alexis's father. But hold on, the next part is even crazier when she starts talking about juggling 2 men.
How close to that timeline did you sleep with your ex?
It was around the same time.
Really?
But, Your Honor, it was protected, but the protection did break.
Are you serious? I didn't even know that.
If the condom break, you've basically exposed yourself.
I had ran into the other gentleman that could have possibly been Alexis's father.
If you thought it couldn't get any wilder, you were wrong. Miss Rembold casually admits she slept with both Mr. Gates and another guy on the same day. Yup, that happened. Now, we're all left wondering who Nicholas's dad really is. You'll be on the edge of your seat when the DNA results finally come in.
I would even have Mr. Gates and the other man that I was having sexual intercourse with both staying in the same house together.
Really?
My son loved her so much that he would watch the kids knowing she'd be going out with this man.
So you moved this guy into the house with you and Mr. Gates?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, the moment everyone was waiting for, Alexis's DNA results.
And the results of that siblingship test showed with a 99.99995% that Alexis and Nicholas do indeed share the same biological father.
Now, okay, so this is where things start getting pretty crazy. Mr. Deggs says that little Jason is the most important thing in his whole life. He's really hoping the paternity test proves he's the dad, even though Ms. Guerin dropped the bomb 6 months after the baby was born that, hey, maybe he's not. The tension's just warming up, and it's about to get way messier.
Mr. Deggs, you are here today hoping you are the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old son, Jason. You have petitioned the court for a paternity test because you claim your ex, Ms. Guerin, first led you to believe that you were Jason's dad. When the baby was 6 months old, she confessed that you may not be the biological father.
And here's where your jaw is probably going to hit the floor. Mr. Deggs reveals that not one, but 2 of the closest people to him, his best friend and his brother, both hooked up with Ms. Guerin. The audience gasps, like, for real, and you can just feel the awkwardness. Ms. Guerin owns up to it, saying she felt ignored by Mr. Deggs at the time. And believe it or not, Mr. Deggs didn't just walk away. Wait until you hear what he does next.
At the time, we were moving out of my best friend's apartment, and it was just about that I got the truck loaded up with everything, and my best friend at the time pulled me aside and told me him and my brother had both slept with me.
What?
He cheated in the very beginning of our relationship. It was even before we were months.
Boy, before you get to what he did, I want to know, is it true?
Yes, it is true.
Things are already super tense, and the judge has to step in before this totally explodes. She's like, let's keep it respectful after Mr. Deggs and Ms. Guerin start going at each other, name-calling and all. But here's the kicker. Even though Ms. Guerin cheated with 2 people close to him, Mr. Deggs says he stayed because he loved her. Spoiler, the story's about to get even wilder when we hear about the baby's birth.
So, after he slept with... All right, you two might not know how to respect each other outside of the courtroom, but in this courtroom, we must remain respectful.
Yes, Your Honor. I loved her that much that I wanted to work on it again.
Wow.
Because I loved her that much.
Get ready for the feels, because this part is pretty heartbreaking. Mr. Deggs tells the court he was there when Jason was born. He even cut the cord, thinking he was the dad. He had no idea there was any doubt about him being Jason's father until 6 months later, when Ms. Guerin casually drops that little detail during an argument. And oh man, it's about to get even worse for Mr. Deggs.
When you give birth to the child?
Yes, he was there.
I cut cord. I've been there since day 1, taking care of this baby and this woman. Your Honor, I was there. And then she has the nerve to wait.
Mr. Deggs, you thought this child was yours.
Something.
Yes, Your Honor, I sure did.
No doubts in your mind. You're going on about your life.
Ready
with
to get
your
my
new
family
baby.
established.
Here we go, the moment of truth, and it's not looking good. The DNA test results are in.
In the case of Deggs versus Guerin, when it comes to baby Jason Deggs, Mr. Deggs, you are not the father.
And that's for the best. Honestly, it's for the best.
Okay, right off the bat, this case is a total mess. Mr. Hill is in court asking for a DNA test for Miss Harris's 18-year-old son, Tammond, even though he's been paying $50,000 in child support. He's been doubting if Tammond is really his, while Miss Harris is like, nah, they look exactly the same. After years of asking, the court finally agreed to do the test. And trust me, things are just getting started. Wait till you hear why Mr. Hill has doubts.
Mr. Hill, you have petitioned the court for years to get a DNA test on Miss Harris's 18-year-old son, Tammond, because you've paid more than $50,000 in child support, but you're not certain he's your child. Your previous petitions were denied, but there is now reasonable doubt testing has been ordered.
This part is totally wild. Mr. Hill throws down some serious accusations here. He says his doubts come from the fact that Miss Harris straight up told him she slept with another dude while they were together. Not only that, but this guy even tried to fight Mr. Hill, making him question if he's the dad. Miss Harris fires back, calling him a liar, like nope, didn't happen. Stick around though, because Mr. Hill's got more drama to spill.
Basically, she had sexual intercourse with somebody else.
Excuse me,
all right.
Your Honor. He's a liar.
a total liar. I've never been with anyone in the 3 years that we were together.
Why would he manufacture these doubts?
Because the alleged claim person that I supposed to slept with, he was my friend. My mother knows him and everything.
Okay, now things go from dramatic to straight up bonkers. Mr. Hill says this mystery guy actually tried to fight him in the street and even claimed he was Taman's real dad. You can imagine the courtroom's reaction to this one. Miss Harris just laughs it off like it's no big deal. But trust me, things are gonna heat up even more once we dive into the whole child support issue.
I was walking down the street with her. The young man in question, the other potential father, he tried to have a fight with me. I didn't know this man from not one time, never met him before, never
So
seen
you
him
knew
before.
there was another potential father?
She told me that the young man that she had sex with, that's what she told me a few minutes. Because she told me, because that's why I'm thinking that Taman is not mine.
The situation keeps getting crazier. Now, we're talking about thousands of dollars and a disappearing dad. Mr. Hill admits he's been shelling out cash in child support, but didn't see much of Tamand after 8th grade. Miss Harris isn't having it though, accusing him of being a total absentee father who just paid money but never showed up. And now, just when you think it couldn't get any more intense, here comes Miss Harris's mom to take things up a notch.
And you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, I did.
And you end up paying child support.
Yes, I was young and dumb, basically. I paid over $50,000 in child support, not knowing what to do, who to talk to, she's nowhere to be found. When we go to different child support, I used to pay $300, maybe $400 every 2 weeks in child support. She never showed up. I tried to get a DNA test.
Oh man, you know things are serious when the mom jumps in. Miss Harris's mother is not holding back. Regina Holmes goes after Mr. Hill, saying he should be ashamed for not being there for Tamand. She also calls him out for being blind to the fact that Tamand looks just like him, which, according to her, should have been obvious this whole time. The plot thickens, but brace yourself for what Tamand's about to say. Things are about to get real emotional.
What do you know about this?
Mr. Hill, you need to be ashamed of yourself. You! Are you blind, Chris? Your other children do not look like you. You need to have them on paternity court back in front of this judge, because he looks like you, they don't. I know what you are doing to my grandchild. It's not about you, it's about my grandchild.
Exactly.
Are you crazy?
If she would have let him stop.
Are you crazy?
If you weren't already feeling the drama, this part is going to hit you in the feels. Tamand talks about how tough it's been growing up without a dad and how it made him feel when he saw other kids with their fathers. He doesn't remember having any kind of real relationship with Mr. Hill, which clearly stinks. Just wait till Judge Lake calls out Mr. Hill for how he handled things. This whole thing's about to blow up even more.
I known this my father my whole life. I never knew anything about no DNA tests, nothing else, nothing.
And did you have a relationship with your father?
Not that I remember. It made me feel kind of bad because I see everybody else with their father and I don't.
It's all right, babe. Take your time. You said everybody else had a father.
And I just feel like he should be there. He should have been there my whole life. I should remember him through my life, and I don't.
You thought things were wild before? Wait till you hear about this next part. It's a real facepalm moment. Judge Lake calls out Mr. Hill for sending an angry, pretty childish message to his son. Mr. Hill tries to explain he was hurt because Tamand didn't want to hang out with him. But the judge is like, dude, you're the grown-up here. But don't go anywhere, because we're finally getting to the moment of truth. Those DNA results are coming.
But this message was a little angry. It was a little petty. As we talk about money, if we really want to be honest, you've requested and said to this court, if he's not your biological child, you want to go back to your home state.
No, it ain't. Let me tell you something. It's not no money about me, because I work every day. I work over maybe like 50 hours every week.
Here it is, the big moment we've all been waiting for. And oh boy, it does not disappoint. The DNA results come back, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Hill, you are his father.